And I just hit record. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Offworlders Dead Planet on Gauntlet Hangouts. My name is Mike. I'll be your GM this evening. If we could go left to, I guess we'll go left to right to introduce ourselves as per how I'm seeing you on the screen here. So I think, Brandon, you are up next. Would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brandon Berlowski. I joined the Gauntlet in 2020, and I've played a number of games that have been terrific. I'm looking forward to another one.
Awesome, welcome. Greg, you're up next.
Yeah, I guess I've been playing on the Gauntlet since COVID took over. So finally got around to doing the RPGs online. So yeah, glad to be here.
Cool, welcome. Jason, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jason. I use he, him pronouns, and I've been playing here for about a year and a half or so. And I just played last month in Mike's, what's it called? Swords of the Serpentine. Yeah, happy to give this a shot.
Awesome, glad to have you back. And Kyle.
Hi, I'm Kyle. Been with the Gauntlet, I guess, about a year now. Yeah.
Cool. And I forgot to mention my pronouns are he, him. So cool. So we're going to be running the hello virtual background. So we're going to be using the adventure Dead Planet by Tuesday Night Games, which was originally written for the horror sci-fi RPG Mothership. Mothership is very cool. I like a lot about Mothership, but my GM style just doesn't mesh super well with the sci-fi percentile dice OSR style of play. So I love this adventure, and when I heard the Gauntlet podcast, Fear of a Black Dragon did a review of Dead Planet a year or so ago, and the hosts mentioned that they used Offworlders to run it, and so I thought I'd give that a try. So Offworlders is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, which is really, really, really stripped down. It was based on World of Dungeons by Jonathan Harper. The original game just has one move, which is basically do something. Roll plus a relevant stat, standard PBTA stuff. It works great for Offworlders' basic premise of doing something like, you're a band of mercenaries or traders or other adventurers flying around on a spaceship doing sci-fi action adventure. Didn't think it worked super well for horror, so I've pulled in a couple of mechanics from other PBTA games to, I hope at least, will bring horror elements more into play. So as we are talking about horror, that kind of segues into a talk about emotional safety at the game table. I did send, if everyone could click the link to the character keeper that I put in the chat window, and then on the character keeper, if you could click over to the safety and resources tab. Just going to go over some emotional safety tools. So we're a bunch of strangers that are meeting here on the internet and to play games, and the idea of this is to have fun. Now, in role-playing games, it's easy to get really caught up in the moment. It's easy to bring, it's easy to do some fast back and forth, do a lot of banter. It's also very easy to get tied up emotionally into what's going on in the game, and sometimes there is bleed through from what's happening in the game to what's happening with you as a person. Each of us individually is more important than this game we're playing. And so we're going to be using a few safety tools in this game to make sure that we don't wander into places that will make you uncomfortable, or because we all have different life experiences, and something could come up in play that'll just totally roll off my back, or I wouldn't even think twice about. Or I could conceivably not even think twice about going there, but it could be a very sticky subject. You know, example was a few years ago, I was playing a haunted house game, and you know, the ghost of the matron happened to be there and dropped her name. And one of the players was obviously very, very upset by that, because he had just a few months earlier lost his mother, and his mother happened to have the same name as this ghost NPC, and it was very traumatic for them. So fortunately, we were playing with safety tools, so we were able to pause the game, make a change, keep going. And that's the first. So the first tools we're going to use are called the X, N, and O cards. Most of us on the Gauntlet are familiar with the X card. So the X card is a tool we can use that if the game is going into a place which is making you uncomfortable, you can say the phrase X card. We're all on video, so you can make an X symbol on the camera or an X symbol on the camera. When you invoke the X card, that means we're going to pause the game. We're going to have a little chat to find out how we're doing. We're going to ask you, you don't have to tell us why, but let us know what element of the game is making you uncomfortable. And we as a group will take that element out of the game. We'll back up and we'll replay the scene from a different angle without that element. And that's the X card. There's nothing wrong with invoking the X card. If you want to invoke the X card for something that you might think is dumb, but if it's making you feel uncomfortable, go ahead and invoke it. I've used the X card to change the name of an NPC because the name was someone that I really made me think of someone that I did not particularly want to deal with in a game. So, simple as that. Two other tools that we're going to use, and I've recently been introduced to these from playing on Magpie Games' curated play program. There's one called the N card. And the N card is sort of a, hey, the N card is a card, it's not as, it's not going to pause the game, but if you use the N card, that's letting us know that we are approaching something that you might not be comfortable with, and that we should slow the game down. Approach this subject with caution. We don't need to pause, we don't need to take it out, but maybe we should steer the game in a different direction. So the N card is sort of like, that means I don't like where this is heading. And that doesn't, we don't have to pause the game if you invoke the N card. We're just going to, we'll just move in a different direction. We don't like the way this is going. Finally, there's the O card. The O card is very helpful in a horror game. The O card is sort of like the opposite of the X card. It's like, yeah, I'm okay with this fun. It means I'm okay with this. Particularly in a horror game where we're on video, you may see something that you're going to react viscerally with, or show a fear reaction to. The O card is telling the GM and the other players that, yeah, I may be actually scared, but I'm loving this because that's why we watch horror movies and play horror games. I may prompt this by typing O question mark in the chat window, for example. And if you see that and you're good with it, just type O. Means okay. It's just a tool for me to check in that if we're going someplace that might be dicey, I just want to make sure that everyone's okay with this. Are there any questions on the X, N, and O cards? Cool. Moving on. The next tool that we're going to use is called lines and veils. I accidentally typed over something. Let me just fix that. Lines and veils are topics that we decide at the start of play are things that we either don't want to deal with at all, or we want to deal with a great deal of caution. Lines and veils was invented by the indie designer Ron Edwards for use in his Sorcerer game back in the early aughts, and they've been adopted widely among many RPG circles. So a line is a topic that if we line something, this topic will not appear in the game, period. I won't bring it up. You won't bring it up. It's just not going to be in the game. A veil is something that we could acknowledge exists in the game. Perhaps we might find evidence that it happened in the past or happened, at some other time or in some other place. You may encounter an NPC that may imply that a veiled thing happened to them at some point, but it's not going to happen on camera. If it is going to happen in the present time, we'll do a fade to black. We'll talk around it. It's certainly not going to be something that happens around a player character. So at this point, everyone should have edit access on the character keeper. If you'd like to take a couple of minutes to go through, so I've got a list of lines and veils with some very common things that a lot of people prefer to line and veil. There's also plenty of blank spaces if there's something that you want to line or veil on that list. I'm going to put a few things on here right off the get-go. I'm putting a line on sexual assault. I'm putting a line on racism. There was one other I was going to do. I'm putting a veil on harm to children. I'm putting a veil on harm to animals. There's one. Oh yeah, homophobia. Oh, someone already picked that. Excellent. And lines and veils is a living document. If we realize that we're going somewhere that, like for example, if something gets X-carded, we'll go back and we'll add it to the list of lines and veils. Let's see, have people put their in, or do people need a little more time with lines and veils? If you're good, give me a thumbs up. Awesome. One other safety tool I want to talk about is Open Door, and that is so this table's open. If you need to get up and step away, get up and step away. If you'd like to call a break, anyone can call a break at any time for any reason. If you decide that this game is just not for you, that's absolutely fine. I don't want, there's no reason for you to continue to play a game if you're not having fun. So if you decide this isn't for you, let us know. Hey, you know what? I'm bailing. This game ain't for me. And to which I will say, sorry you didn't like it. I hope we can play again something that's more to your liking in the future. Again, no harm, no foul if you need to step away. And again, call if anyone needs to call a break for any reason, we can call a break. And finally, the last thing I did want to mention, it's not so much a safety tool, but is a just an FYI. In case something happens to me and I like get up and walk off camera with no warning, especially if you see me take my headset off, that might mean that something's going on in my house, and I need to deal with that, and not a role-playing game I'm playing with a bunch of people on the internet. Alternatively, if my internet goes out, if my internet goes out, I obviously can't play an online game. So if for whatever reason I disappear or I freeze or I drop out and you don't hear from me in 10 minutes, assume the game is over, and go about the rest of your evening. There's no need to wait for me for more than 10 minutes. I will try to let you know either via the I'll try to, because I have all of your I have all your email addresses. I'll try to let you know if I am going to be back. via email if I can. But if you don't hear from me in 10 minutes, assume the game is over and go about your business. And I will hopefully contact you in the next, like within the next day to let you know that, to like apologize, and we'll hopefully let you know that session two is still running. Does anyone have any questions about safety tools? Awesome. So the other thing I was going to, a little bit about structure. So after this, we're going to do character generation. After we finished making our characters, I think I'll probably call about a 5-minute break, and I'll come back and start playing in earnest. One other thing about this game, and so Offworlders, normally in Offworlders, your ship is basically another character. It's a combined playbook that everyone works. We're going to go ahead and create the ship, but I'm just going to say up front that Dead Planet, the adventure we're running, really de-emphasizes the ship. I'll tell you up front that when the game starts, you're in a bad situation and your ship is partially disabled. And it won't. And basically, the gist of the adventure is getting your ship up and running again, so you can get the hell out of here. So in Dead Planet, we're not going to be doing a whole lot with the ship. It might come up, so we're still going to go ahead and do the ship creation. Let me just pull up my PDF of Offworlders to make sure I am not forgetting something. So, so everyone here has played on the Gauntlet before? And everyone's familiar with the concept of a character keeper? Awesome, cool. I gotta say, I'd never seen one until I started playing on the Gauntlet, and for online games, whoever came up with it, I think is a genius. It's a way that everyone can see everyone else's characters, so that allows you to do things like, make decisions on your moves based on what other characters' abilities are. So I just think it's pretty cool. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and so there's only 4 of us, so we'll only need the first 4 columns. Looks like a few people have already hopped in. So go ahead and pick, put in your name, your characters' names. That's the wrong book. I'm just double checking. I just want to make sure I've got the attributes. Let's see. Okay, so there are 4 classes in the game. So this game does have classes. It doesn't really have, it's a really stripped down game, so it doesn't have a playbook per se. Everyone sort of uses the same playbook. But there are 4 classes: Warrior, Outlaw, Geek, and Psychic. Go ahead and pick one. They pretty much are what they say on the label. There are 4 attributes: strength, agility, intelligence, and willpower. If you played any role-playing games at all in the last 10 years, they're pretty straightforward. So
do you guys want to play like one of each, or should we overlap our classes, you think? I was thinking of playing an outlaw. Was anyone else going to play an outlaw? We'll put it that way.
I'm happy taking whatever's left over. I like having one of each.
Okay.
You are muted, Brandon. You might have said something.
One of each, I think, is a great idea.
Works for me. So you can also pick your abilities, and so if you've played, everyone here has played Powered by the Apocalypse games before. Awesome. I don't have to explain PBTA. Offworlders is pretty much standard. It's the most common mechanic. It's roll 2d6 plus an appropriate stat. So when you pick your stats, pick one at +2, pick one at +1, pick one at 0, and one at -1. So +2, +1, 0, -1 are going to be your 4 stats to start.
Mike, would you say there are any like genre touchstones you're working from in terms of theme?
Sure. Yes. Thank you for asking. That was on my list of things to do, which I don't have on screen right now. So the touchstones for this game are probably like 70s and 80s sci-fi horror. Really, the big one's going to be Alien, the 79 Ridley Scott classic. Other touchstones would be other sci-fi horror movies, like perhaps like Event Horizon. So they're I'll tell you up front, you're gonna meet some space monsters, and they're gonna be scary. I'm going to try to be shooting for that kind of sense of dread, that sense of impending doom, and a sense of desperation that we have to get out of here. I thought about running this game using the system Alien Dark, but I thought that one was. But Alien Dark is one of those. It's basically a play to lose game where you kind of know going in that you're all going to die, and in this game you actually have a chance of winning. It's maybe not a great chance of winning, but you've definitely got a chance of winning. The other game I was thinking of running Dead Planet in was Trophy Gold, but I just thought that was going to take a little more conversion than I really wanted to give it. So Offworlders it is.
I missed it. What are our stats? Do they need to add up to 2? Is that
pick one at +2, pick one at +1, one at 0, one at -1.
Gotcha.
So once we've picked that, so your class will let you pick. Once you've picked your class, you're able to. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just going over to the Offworlders cheat sheet. So 1, pick your class. 2, choose your skills. So your class gives you, depending on your class, you have a choice of skills. You can pick any 2 skills. The way skills are going to work in this version of Offworlders is we're going to be using an advantage-disadvantage mechanic, which is pretty common in a lot of like 3rd generation PBTA games. So if you're rolling with advantage, you roll 3d6 instead of rolling 2d6 plus your stat. You roll 3d6, add the 2 highest values, and then your stat. If you roll with disadvantage, you roll 3d6 and add the 2 lowest values on the dice you rolled plus your stat. If you have multiple situations that give you advantage, it doesn't matter. You either have advantage or you don't have advantage. Ditto with disadvantage. If you're ever in a situation where you have both advantage and disadvantage, they cancel each other out and you just roll normally. Let's see. So this game has both. So Offworlders has hit points, or I think they call them health points, but they're hit points. Your hit points are equal to 12 plus your strength plus your agility. And basically, if you get to 0 hit points, there's basically it's a last breath mechanic that's taken pretty much straight out of Dungeon World. Yeah, everyone's going to start with 0 XP. This is a game where you you do get an XP on a miss, and I may be award, and you will also get extra. We'll also get some XPs. There's an end of session move which will allow us to get more experience points. So if you have, one place where advantage comes into play is if you're doing something where one of your skills is relevant, you have advantage on the roll. So one other thing that's going to happen in this game that's not in standard Offworlders is I've basically stolen the stress track mechanic straight out of the game Cartel. So there's a 5-point stress track. There are various things in the game which can cause you to mark stress. Once you are at 5 stress, you are stressed out and all of your rolls are at disadvantage. You can reduce stress by, there's basically 2 moves that we put into this game that will allow you to reduce stress. If you're not under pressure, you can use a move called reach out to someone, which is when you try to make an honest, where you're trying to make an honest emotional connection with someone, to, like, share your thoughts, share your feels. We'll play that scene out. And then you roll, and depending on how well you roll, you can reduce stress for both of you, stress for one of you, or if you blow the roll, things might not go so well. A way to clear a lot of stress, and this is adapted pretty heavily from the drug move mechanic, again taken from Cartel. You can lash out. That is the act out move. When you act out, you are doing something you are engaging in a somewhat self-destructive activity that you're doing to blow off stress. There are some examples in the sheet that I sent out earlier. I should probably put a link to that in the game. I'll do that in a minute. So, like, for example, you like have a nervous breakdown and start like pulling things up and like throwing things around the room. That could be a way that you are acting out. You could decide to publicly insult and berate a companion. That's acting out. You can engage in like drugs or alcohol. That's a way to blow off steam. When you act out, what you're doing is it's clearly self-destructive, and so that's part of the move. When you roll, you may be able to reset your if you get a hit, you're able to reset your stress track. Even on a miss, you reduce your stress by 1, but then there's a list of consequences, and depending on how well you roll, you'll have to pick 1 or more consequences. And if you roll a miss, I get to pick your consequence, and I'm not limited to the list. The idea for stress was a way to sort of like bring in the horror. So you will gain stress in a couple of ways. You can choose to mark a stress by pushing yourself. You can push yourself. You can choose to mark a stress to push yourself to gain advantage on the next roll. You can also mark a stress to convert a hit point into a stress point. So if you've taken damage, you can choose to take a little bit of stress instead of some of the damage. And finally, I can impose stress as a GM move. Like if you encounter something horrific, I might say, you know what, this is stressful. Everyone who encountered this, mark a stress. Okay. Let's see here, gear. Offworlders abstract gear. So under gear, you have what's called supply 3. So you start with 3 credits. You may start with 1 light. You may start with 1 light weapon, and then you have so supply is a. Let me just talk about supply briefly. You're assumed to be carrying a variety of useful tools, and other miscellaneous stuff that would be appropriate for a spacer to be carrying around with you. And so these are abstracted as supply. You can spend 1 supply at any time to produce a mundane item. There's a list of example items like 50 feet of cable, or a blowtorch, or a multi-tool, or a motion sensor, or a scanner, or something like that. If it's reasonable, sure, you can say you can spend 1 supply to say you have it. Whenever you have some downtime aboard the ship, or if you find a supply cache when you're exploring something, you can you can conceivably resupply. In addition to supply, you have a choice of a few other things, and that is in a different section. So everyone starts with 3 credits. You start with a light weapon. It can be anything appropriate to like a 70s sci-fi movie. And then you can choose either an additional 7 credits for 10 credits or light armor. And I'm going to tell you up front, you're probably not going to be let's just say that given the situation, you're probably not going to have a lot of opportunity to like buy stuff with credits. So I'd recommend going with something else. And if people, I should have made this available. Show of hands, does anyone who here has a copy of Offworlders? Okay. Okay. I meant to do this ahead of time and it slips my mind. I'm just going to put a I think we're pretty much just going to abstract it for now. At some point between this session and next, I'll put I'll put some equipment lists up on our character keepers so people have a better idea. But for now, if you want to have a piece of sci-fi gear that's a little more what's the word I'm looking for? A little more exotic or a little more powerful than the stuff you can just produce with supply. We'll figure that out on the fly, and we can retroactively spend some of your credits to say that you bought this in the last spaceport you were in. I think we can probably just work with that on the fly. That sound good to folks? Cool. Let me go back to the character creation, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. All right, finally, one last thing. This is one of those games where it assumes you're human as a default. If you want to be some kind of, I'm going to say that humans have had some in the galaxy, humans have encountered a small number of other alien races that are of roughly, we're going to kind of Star Trek this. You've encountered some other alien races that are of roughly similar technological level as humans, although this section of the galaxy you're in is very much human dominated. If you want to play an alien, cool. If you want to play an android, that's also cool. There's no real statistical differences. We'll just, that's pretty much just all flavor. Back over to the characters. So light armor gives you armor 1. Or is that armor 2? Hold on, let me look that up. Ship. Here we are. Okay, so light armor gives you 1 armor, and armor in this game reduces the amount of damage you take by one point for every defense level it has. So if you've got light armor, that'll be 1 armor. Let's see. So a light weapon does 1d6 of damage. You only need 1 hand. So a light weapon would be something like would be like a be like a blaster pistol or a or a shock baton or a knife. But light weapons do 1d6. And if you want to describe your weapon however you want, as long as it seems genre appropriate. I mean, you can have something archaic if you'd like, or you could have something that the kind of weapon that you'd see in, like maybe kind of weapon that you'd see in Alien or The Expanse or Vibroblade from Stone. That's cool. Cool. And again, armor, it could be ballistic, you could define it as ballistic armor. You could define it as like a personal force field. However you want to define it however you want to define your armor is entirely up to you. And that's pretty much just going to have like fictional positioning. Like if your light armor is a vibroblade, obviously you're not going to be able to shoot the bad guy from across the room with it. At the same time, if you've got a pistol, it might be hard to use if if someone has grappled you.
Does anybody have any strong feelings about player versus player? Like it's something you just don't want to see or not, or you're casual about it? Not saying I want to turn against you guys, but if it happens. Does anybody have any strong feelings against that? Okay.
Cool. Thanks for bringing that up. There is an aid mechanic, which is if you want to help someone out, they gain advantage, but you are exposed. But that also opens you up to exposure to whatever negative consequences that might happen. And that's a mechanic I took out of Jeremy Strandberg's Homebrew World. I just think I think that's just a pretty easy way to do it. Do we have our characters pretty much set? Or do folks need a little more time? Either way is fine by me. Okay, let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. A couple other things just about the health and dying. So if an NPC reaches 0 health, they're out of action. They're out of the action. They're either dead or they're knocked out or they're seriously wounded. We'll figure that out. When a player character reaches 0 health, you are in you're in trouble. Basically, roll plus willpower. On a hit, you're down for the count now, but with rest and care, you can make a full recovery. On a weak hit, you'll live, but you need to you and the GM need to come up with, basically it's going to be a permanent condition that's going to affect your character. It doesn't necessarily have a direct mechanical effect, but it will affect fictional positioning. Like, for example, if you suddenly have, like, the example of the book is you've gained numbness in your permanent nerve damage for like some numbness in your hands. That could conceivably, depending on what you're doing, that could conceivably impose a penalty in certain circumstances, or it could fictionally limit your options. And on a miss on your death check, your character is going to die. They might not die right away. You might get a chance to do one last thing, but you will not see. But the character is not going to live to see the end of the session. Recovering health. If you've got a few quiet minutes, you can spend 1 supply to heal another character of 1d6 of health. I am going to do a GM fiat here and say you can heal yourself. You can spend 1 supply to heal yourself or another character of 1d6 of health, and that's just, there's no roll. It's just spend 1 supply to heal 1d6. If you have access to a medical facility, and we'll say for the sake of argument that your ship does have a functioning, if your ship has a functioning medical facility, then it's just a matter of time. Then you'll, as long as you've had enough time to let your med tech do its thing, you'll be good to go the next scene. One more thing about the stress track: everyone starts play at 2 stress because living in spaces is stressful. During play, it's possible to lower stress below 2, but you always start at 2 stress. And again, at 5 stress, you are stressed out, and all of your rolls are disadvantaged until you can reduce your stress. Once you're at 5 stress, you cannot add more stress, so you can't say mark a stress to take advantage on the roll because you don't have any more stress to mark. Am I forgetting anything? I think that's more or less it. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go down the line, introduce our characters, and then once we've introduced our characters, I'm going to call a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll start playing. Sound good? Awesome. Why don't we go left to right as are on the character keeper? So why don't you tell us about Athena?
Yeah, Athena Jones. Actually, it's funny. I was going to originally name the character Spartacus, and then I saw Sparks was already there, so I was like, screw that. But yeah, Athena Jones, a she, her, and the warrior. And so we'll say she actually came from this really hippie intellectual family, and she just didn't fit and became a warrior. So I was thinking, not that she's had this like tough, brutal lifestyle. It's just she's like, no, I'm a warrior, and different from all my other brothers and sisters and family. But so that's her.
Are you like an ex-space marine? Are you a mercenary? Are you are you like a former professional wrestler? What's your background that made you a warrior?
Gotcha. We'll say she was ex-military. We'll say she came from this intellectual, very liberal family, and she just wanted to join the Marines. So hardcore Marine, got out of it, and now I assume this isn't like a government ship or something, right? This is
I was going to say we can figure that out once we figure out a little bit about the ship, but generally the thought is you own the ship. Generally in Offworlders, you own or you own or at least have a very large you own or you owe a very large loan on the ship. So it's your ship, and you're trying to dig up jobs for whatever you've decided that your characters do.
Yeah, we'll say.
So regardless of regardless, I'm thinking you're the muscle.
Yeah. She'll say she's like ex-Navy SEAL kind of thing, elite fighter. Yeah.
Very cool. Kyle, would you tell us about Samantha?
Yes, I'm playing Samantha Smith, the team geek. I think she has been working on ships pretty much her whole life, and has just picked up a lot of knowledge here and there, and is just sort of the team, I guess, mechanic, closest thing you've got to a doctor, that sort of thing.
Very cool. Awesome. Jason, would you tell us about Sparks?
Sparks is an older guy. He's probably in his 40s. He's kind of a space drifter. He goes from system to system, ship to ship. He's probably been with you guys a little while. Maybe he's like a pilot because I don't see anybody else filling that kind of role, but he's really not very good at it. What he's really good at is staying alive, scrounging up stuff, sneaking around. Like I said, he's kind of a drifter. He's kind of
doing the dirty jobs.
yeah, he's kind of a slight below average height kind of guy. And for our viewers, you can't see it. The picture is Brett from Alien, Harry Dean Stanton.
I love it. Awesome. And finally, Brandon, would you tell us about Thorn?
Thorn is a psychic who is androgynous in appearance and evidently not particular from what other people know, which may or may not be a great deal. Psychic powers don't really exist in humanity. Thorn gets hers because she has a symbiote. You can see the scars on the side of her head. Where that was put in. She has a very relaxed, laid back manner, except when things get a little tense, whereupon she will drop F-bombs in about every sentence. I thought while people were describing their characters that she might actually make a good pilot. She claims that she fares the starways in order to find new things. And that seems to accord with what people have seen about him or her. Pronouns really don't matter when you've got what amounts to two people in your head. Some people are very put off by Thorn, and some people find them, we'll say, very attractive.
Cool. I think we've got a really interesting crew here. This should be a lot of fun. I'd like to take I did say we'd take a break. If people want to take a break now, we can. Otherwise, I'd like, we're getting some thumbs up. So, okay, let's take 5 minutes, which makes sense because it's the top of the hour. So we'll come back I got 1 minute after. Let's come back at 6 past. We'll talk a little bit about our ship, and then we'll get right into play. So I will see you all in 5 minutes.
Does anyone imagine themselves as the captain of our ship, or are we kind of an egalitarian kind of crew? Probably not Sparks.
It's
You
always
don't,
good to have someone in charge.
yeah, you don't want Sparks in command.
No.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I could see Athena or Thorn, depending on the mood of the ship, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess could be Samantha. You know, I don't think of the tech person as the captain, but you know, we could always mix
No,
it
they
up.
usually like to have their head buried in machinery.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it all depends what the point of the ship is, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next. That was going to be my next question. Before we, so if people want to click on the ship tab, before we actually make these decisions, why don't we? And again, I don't want to spend too long on this because even though this is a space game, this module, your ship, there's like no ship-to-ship combat. The game is going to start with your ship's jump drives disabled. So really, the gist of this game is you're trying to get your jump drive fixed such that you can get out of here. But I think for sake of the story, I think we need to know. Well, first of all, are you four the only people that are on the ship? Does the ship have a bigger crew? Like, for example, do we want to say there's an NPC captain? I mean, we can say it's a small ship and it's just the four of you. That is absolutely 100% fine. I'm going to leave this entirely up to you guys.
I'm prone to say just the four of us, but if some one of us dies, would it be easy for you to have a new character appear, Mike?
There will be opportunities. You aren't going to be the only people that you encounter. There will be opportunities to bring in new characters.
Okay. Yeah, so I'd say let's just have the four of us. Maybe an android. How about an android that we don't treat very well, maybe?
Or alternatively, does your ship have an AI that could like run stuff?
I think that I think the ship has an AI, but it's not a very it's not really self-aware.
Right.
It's a rather sophisticated computer.
Fair enough.
So you can do things like, say, ship, please run all your diagnostics, and it'll go.
Got it. So it's got an AI in the way that
running them.
Go on.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, so it's got an AI the way that, say, like the Starship Enterprise in the original in Star Trek, the original series or Next Gen. It can, it's a sophisticated natural language. It's got a sophisticated natural language interface, but it can't actually think for itself.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
I mean, it's got a lot of automated systems, so it can fly itself, but it can't really make decisions. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, so it's just the four of you. So what are y'all doing on this ship in space? What's your what is your line of work? Some of the options from the game are, well, I mean, it could be this could be a small time freighter, like, if you want to play it more like Firefly. It could be a small time freighter. You take cargo from point A to point B, and you hopefully turn a profit. You could be mercenaries. You could be smugglers.
How about we're like mercenary courier kind of thing? We've got some special skills, like Athena's sounds like quite a warrior, and we've got a psychic, which sounds like a really rare kind of thing. Maybe we're like a high-end, small packages, important people, smuggler kind of thing, maybe. How's that sound?
Got it. I like it. So
Could be.
your ship,
Yeah, I like it.
so your ship's kind of like a blockade runner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
well, and we traffic as much as in information as we do anything else.
Right. We're not really a
but
freighter.
We don't carry freight. We have barely enough room for a passenger.
Right.
I would say.
Okay.
It's a tiny ship
Very
designed
small ship.
to get into places that it doesn't belong.
Awesome. Okay.
And it's got an airfoil and such. It can take off and land on its own.
Okay. So it's small. It is small enough to land on planets. Good. Good to know. So cool. I think we know enough about what you guys are doing, and like I think we have enough. I think we know enough about the ship to let you pick your ship upgrades. So you can pick. So if you can click over to the ship tab. First of all, we'll need to pick a name. We'll need to pick a name for your ship, and you may pick 2 upgrades. If I could hazard a suggestion based on what you've, and again, this is just a suggestion. If the ship is a kind of like a fast blockade runner, you rely on speed to get in and out of places. I might recommend that you take
Afterburners.
Yeah, you take afterburners, or possibly either afterburners or advanced drive. And
Probably
another one to think about would be might be high maneuverability, or alternatively extra fuel tanks, so you can go farther.
I like high maneuverability.
Yeah, I realize no one has the pilot skill. So
No.
We
True.
could, but I was going to pick it, but since we're
gonna
going
say,
to shoot the ship
Oh, okay.
disabled, I'm not sure whether it's valuable. If you tell me it's valuable, I'll go back to it.
well, high maneuverability handles the pilot stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have high maneuverability, then you can fly the ship then the ship can fly as if you had the pilot skill.
Okay, so let's maybe high maneuverability and afterburners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, there will be some ship stuff, but it's not going to be the ship to ship stuff is not emphasized at all with this adventure. Okay, and what is she called?
Stingray.
Sure.
Any other?
Stingray, let's put like a number at the end or something. Stingray.
Stingray
12? Sure.
And if folks want to, I don't know if we want to take the time now to find a graphic, but
I'm looking at graphics. I'll throw something in.
awesome.
Something sleek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking something sleek and graceful looking. Very cool. Okay. And so what was your last job? Like, so what job are you on? So what job are you on when this adventure begins? I'm going to say you're doing kind of a routine mission when something not so great is going to happen, which is going to be what kicks off the adventure. So I'm guessing, since you're a courier, I'm guessing you're on a courier run.
Right.
What are you carrying, and where are you trying to get to?
I think we're carrying the plans of the Death Star.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think what would be kind of cool is maybe we leverage Thorn's psychic ability. Like maybe Thorn, I don't know, read somebody's mind, and now we're taking that data back.
Yeah, I like it.
So
Right.
like maybe
I view
some sim-
Thorn as having a eidetic memory, so that makes perfect sense.
I love it.
Yeah. So I've so yes, I have
what
I have
kind
some info. It's stolen high tech, cutting edge technology information.
yeah, cool.
So we got some
Um,
so we got some industrial espionage going on. Perfect.
That's right. We compromised an engineer on the project.
And you're looking to sell it to
Their main competitors.
their big corporate competitor. Okay, cool. I was going to say what foreign.
We're not
government,
looking to
like-
sell it. It's sold. We're just
Oh, it's
looking.
sold. Okay, so it's sold. You're there.
Yeah,
You're
we
there
haven't.
to
I mean,
actually-
that is to say, the contract's been executed. It hasn't. It hasn't been handed over yet.
got it.
But
One-
we're not going to make the run without at least a handshake agreement.
So one thing that I think one aspect of the old sci-fi game Traveler that I always really liked is that there is no faster than light communication. There is faster than light travel. So you cannot send a signal faster than light speed, but you can send couriers on ships with warp or jump drives. So so if you're 5 light years away from the next system, yeah, you can send a signal, but it's going to be 5 years before they pick up your signal. And but it may only be a matter of weeks or days to get there in a fast ship. So I just kind of like that. That also, if you're stranded somewhere, that's also going to ramp up the sense of isolation, which I think will work for this game.
Yeah, there's no super liminal radio.
Yeah, there's no subspace radio. There's from Star Trek. There's no Ansible from from Ursula Le Guin's Hainish trilogy, Hainish series. There's no faster than light signaling. The way you get news is you put it on a ship and someone has to deliver it.
Yeah, it might be that that very wealthy entity could afford to, basically could afford to have a robot ship. A courier, basically a self-flying ship that could
like a courier drone. Yeah, we can say those certainly exist.
So they call them message drones or something like that, but they're all have to be big enough to have a jump drive on board, so that severely limits how small you can make them, and so therefore they're really expensive.
Makes sense. Okay, so we will start play.
Yeah, I'm happy to have Thorn step into the pilot role, so the captain role, sort of. But it's a captain because you all think I should be captain, not because anybody made me captain.
Sure, let's go with that.
So you are aboard the Stingray. You're a small, fast courier ship. You are flying through hyperspace, heading toward your prearranged rendezvous point with. I'm going to say so. You're going to be meeting with representatives of. Anyone want to name the corporation that you're meeting with?
Zgenics.
Like, Got it. So you're going to meet with representatives of Zgenics. Were you heading to a space station? Was this prearranged coordinates kind of in the middle of nowhere? Were you going to a planet? What was your actual destination? Their corporate headquarters?
Space station.
Space station. Awesome. So
yeah, this sort of thing, they like it, to be a sort of a hand-to-hand transfer kind of thing, and doing that in deep space is just too tricky.
Makes sense.
Too likely that they'll have a miscommunication.
So the Stingray is all systems are green. The Stingray is flying through hyperspace, heading to your rendezvous point at the pre-designated space station. When all of a sudden, on the bridge, klaxons start sounding. There's a lurch of the ship, which is really not supposed to happen when you're hurtling through hyperspace.
Sam.
There's a
what's going
lurch. Klaxons start going off, like red warning indicator lights start going up and down on your control panels. And your AI says, warning, hyperspace field breach detected. Warning, hyperdrive malfunction. Warning, entering normal space. And then you drop out of hyperspace. That's not supposed to happen.
Sam, the fuck?
Great question. I'll let you know when I have an answer.
God damn it.
Now that you are out of hyperspace, you're in a planetary system.
Sam, tell me at least we're in one piece.
What do you do?
I'll stub out my cigarette, and I'll call up to the bridge. Captain, what was that?
Excuse me. You're the tech. Oh, Sparks, sorry. Sam's finding out, right, Sam?
Yes. Can I roll to try to figure out what happened, or?
Sure. Absolutely. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the moves here. Basically, when you do an action, there's I've split the one move up into two moves. We're calling those act boldly and act desperately. So when you're doing something when you act boldly when you are performing an action from a position of relative safety. Let me pull the move up. Actually, I meant to do that earlier. Let me put a link to the document. Here we are. Well, share. Sorry, Google Docs gets slow when I've got Zoom running.
And whatever he ends up rolling, maybe I'm checking out the engines. I go down like one of those fireman ladders down into the engine room, and
Awesome.
mist and is venting and whatnot, and pushing buttons and pulling on levers and whatnot.
So I'm just stepping out of the immediate, just to talk a little bit about the game mechanics. So when you do stuff, basically it depends on whether you're acting from a position of relative safety or from a position of immediate danger. Act boldly is when you act from a position of relative safety and there is a chance of failure, tell us what you wish to accomplish and what you fear may happen if you are not successful. Then roll with an appropriate ability. On a 10 plus, you accomplish what you needed, what you intended. Tell us what it looks like. On a 7 to 9, you can accomplish what you intend, but the GM will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable or cause an unintended complication. If you go through with the action, the GM describes what it looks like. I meant to move one thing here. I'm making one change to what happens on a miss based on a conversation I was having with another person who does some PBTA design. Okay. And then on a miss, it's usually, GM gets to pull hard move. So I think at this point you're not in immediate danger. So and so the difference between act boldly and act desperately is when you act act desperately is when you act in the presence of danger or peril and there's a chance of failure. Tell us what you wish to accomplish and what you fear may happen if you are not successful. And the GM will tell you how it is worse than you fear. You may choose to back down or go through with it. If you do go through with it, roll. On a 10 plus full success. On a 7 to 9, it's success with a cost. You don't get to choose to back down then. It's just that's the consequence that's going to happen. When you miss on an act desperately, the GM's moves are going to be a little harder than they were when you were acting boldly. And on a miss, things get much worse. So when you're acting desperately, the stakes are higher, and so the moves are written slightly differently to reflect that. I'll tell you right now, I stole that distinction from two places. One was from the game Brindlewood Bay by Jason Cordova, and the other was the difference between what they called safety moves and peril moves from the game Escape from Dino Island by Sam Tong. Both those games, by the way, both highly recommended. So I think you are acting boldly now. You are. So tell us.
A chance of failure to figure out what the system is.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So what are you trying to accomplish here? You're just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Why did we drop out of hyperspace?
Okay.
And is the ship in one piece?
Got it.
What?
Sure. I don't think we actually need a roll here. I'll tell you right now, the ship's in one piece, with one major exception, and that is the hyperdrive is offline. All other systems seem to be functioning normally. Everything but the hyperdrive.
Damn.
What do you do?
Give me a fucking clue.
Is it like I'll like tap on some gauges? Is it like, are we out of fuel? We overheating?
Hey guys, are
something making a clinking sound?
Did we already arrive? That was quick.
Did you guys try looking out the window, see where we're at?
So are you going to attempt to figure out what caused you to pull what caused you to drop out of hyperdrive, or
Athena, we are
figure
not
out where
at
you are?
destination.
Yeah, you are
Yes.
clearly not at your destination. You are
Computer scan system, please. Analyze for destination.
Working. Based on stellar positions, we are in unexplored system J37X. Long range. The system is unexplored. Long range scans indicate red dwarf solitary star system. Red star is red dwarf class. 3 planets. 1 gas giant.
Atmosphere and gravity.
No, three planets.
Yes.
One gas giant, approximately Saturn size. 2 terrestrial planets. 1 approximately Mars size, very close to Sun, no atmosphere. Third planet approximately Earth size, has significant atmosphere. Scientific scans, that is all the data found on previous scans of system. No exploration craft have ever been here.
Wait, are we supposed to get more data for this xenogenics job? I thought we already had what they wanted.
Athena, we're not at the destination. We dropped out of hyperspace en route.
Sparks,
Sam.
what did you do this time, Sparks?
I don't know. Everything seems to be in the green down here.
Oh.
Sam, if you don't fucking pipe up, I am going to fucking come down there and look for you.
The computer then says, scans indicate we are 1/2 astronomical unit from the Earth-sized planet. Scanners indicate other ships in orbit.
The fuck?
Yeah, try to hail those guys. See if they have
Once
some
at a
spare
time.
parts or something.
Okay, we're in one piece. We lost hyperdrive for no obvious reason.
But all of your other systems are currently working fine, including your impulse drives. So, you can fly around. You can fly around at sublight speeds. It's just that getting to the next system is well. Let's just say that since your ship has a hyperdrive, one thing it doesn't have are stasis pods, and using your impulse drive to get to the next system is going to take approximately 275 years.
Not something I'd want to try even with stasis pods.
I don't have enough cigarettes to get that far.
Sam.
Yes.
Go. There we are. Well, can you tell what the problem is from inside ship, or are we going to have to?
Sure, you're going to try to. I'm sorry. Go on.
Sorry, you can go.
I was just going to say. So, what is your plan? You're going to try to figure out what's wrong with the hyperdrive. You're going to try to
Take a look from inside first.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do my best to figure out what's wrong.
Okay. I believe you are acting boldly. So this is clearly a tech thing, so you are skilled in that. So I have there. So over on the Safety and Resources tab, there is a in the third column there is a link to shared dice roller, which should bring you to roll for your party.
And Mike, I'm probably like digging into panels and stuff down in the engine room at the same time. Would that be an assist maybe?
Sure, you can assist. Sam's already rolling with advantage, so.
Oh, he's already rolling with advantage? Okay. Or
Yep,
she's rolling
yep,
with advantage?
Yeah,
Okay,
Sam
never
has
mind.
Sam has the tech skills, so that lets her roll with advantage.
Okay.
I got an 11.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was going to say so I'm guessing, I would say you're probably rolling with int on that. That seems like an int thing to
Good
do.
point. So I guess it's a 13 total.
Awesome. Alrighty then. Well, that means you got a 12 plus. On a 12 plus, that's one other mechanic in this game. So on a 12 plus is a great success. You can either clear a stress or gain some other advantage or extra information.
I think I'm gonna clear a stress.
Okay, unmark 1 stress. Okay, yeah, you're so it takes a little while to like run a whole bunch of diagnostic scans, and as far as you can tell, all of the individual parts are running okay. It's just that for whatever reason, your hyperdrive cannot establish it cannot establish a breach into hyperspace. And your scans indicate that this is actually not a problem with your ship. This is a problem with the space around here. Seems there's some kind of hyperspace anomaly in this sector that is causing basically that's causing the hyperspace field to fail to establish, or if a ship in hyperspace comes near enough this sector, it's just going to drop out of hyperspace. And it doesn't look like there's much you can do from in the ship. I'm going to, since you got such a good roll, I'm going to say that you're able to tell that this hyperspace instability field seems to be centered on that planet that you're not too far from.
And there's other ships. Are they around this planet, or where are these other ships that we see in this area?
They're all in orbit around the center terrestrial planet,
Okay.
according to the computer.
Yes.
So, give me a 10-word summary, Sam.
Something's wrong with hyperspace, and I think it's coming from that planet.
Got it. Fuck. Just our luck. Looks like we're not the first ones to get trapped here.
Any of those
Let's-
other ships look like anything, something valuable might be on them?
I don't give a fuck about valuable until we figure out how to get our asses out of this system.
All right, aye, sir.
Looks like we're going to have to go down to planet. Eyes open.
Do
Everyone.
we want to hail those other ships? See what their
Yeah,
What-
we'll
what-
do that
what
as we'll do that on
intel
our
they have?
we'll do that on our approach.
So
we
what's
also
the
want to
plan?
make
You're
sure
going-
nobody fucking shoots at us.
Got it. So you're going to approach. So you're going to approach the planet and enter a standard orbit.
We'll enter standard orbit if we feel well. We'll enter standard orbit if we feel safe to do so, or we may go straight down to planet.
Do we have any like sensors that can scan the planet for
Doing-
structures, cities, that kind of stuff?
Got it.
Computer, please
Um,
initiate planetary scan.
Scanning initiated. Pause. Scanning planet. Pause. Planet's atmosphere consists of 60% nitrogen, 19% oxygen.
Computer?
19%.
Computer,
Yes.
atmosphere is breathable, non-toxic.
Atmosphere is breathable.
Any obvious toxicities?
The atmosphere
Let me
is
skip your
breathable.
stock
The
time.
surface of the atmosphere is breathable. However, surface of the planet from this, the hemisphere of the planet observable from this position indicates that it is entirely liquid. It appears to be an ocean planet. Scans indicate that the ocean has a very high acidity, such that it would cause caustic burns. It would cause caustic burns were it to be exposed to human flesh.
Yeah, computer, do we detect life forms on the other ships orbiting this planet?
Working. No active energy signatures detected from any ship save one. A weak energy signature is coming from. Oh, what's the name of the ship? A weak energy signature is coming from a nearby ship that's, and it gives a it gives a distance that's not too far. You should be able to get there and not too far and not too long. So I'm going to so you scan the other ships. There are at least 24 ships in orbit. Some of them are at least 100. Some of them are at least 150 years old.
Good, Gregory.
So it looks like this is a literal ship graveyard that's been here for some period of time. I mean, that's the thing about when you go off into hyperspace. Sometimes ships just don't arrive at their destination, and no one really knows what happens to them. That's just kind of part of what makes life as a spacer both exciting and very dangerous. You are able to find there is one ship that does still seem to have a low power. There's one ship that seems to have its generator is still online, and its life support systems are on but minimal. It is broadcast. That ship is broadcasting a standard distress signal on repeat.
Let's hear it, computer. Is it just an SOS, or does it have content?
It doesn't really have much content. It identifies itself as the archaeological research ship, the Alexis. It gives its last known position, and that assistance is requested. This is like the standard. This is like standard ship's distress signal 3 from
right.
From what was normally. I mean, this wasn't one that the captain recorded specifically to this situation. This is just like standard distress message. Isn't really giving you any information other than we're in trouble, send help.
Let's go check them out.
Let's do it.
Computer, match trajectories with designated ship Alexis.
Affirmative. Okay, so we're going to.
Let me ask one question real quick. So did you say somewhere in the midst of this that the I don't know, dampening field or the disruption of hyperspace is originating from the ocean planet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sorry, we don't know it's an ocean planet. We know that this hemisphere is an ocean.
Oh, okay. The hemisphere is facing us as we orbit it, or as
yes, we'll find
okay.
out what the other side is shortly, but we can't.
Okay, I see.
We can't scan the backside of the planet from here.
And is there a locality on the surface where this energy dampening thing is coming from?
I'm going to say that you don't have enough evidence yet. When Sam made that decision, you were like half an astronomical unit away, so that this planet was only really visible as a particularly bright star in the sky.
Okay.
But the display on the screen indicated that it seemed to be emanating from this planet. You haven't been close enough or done enough to determine where on the planet that might be.
We're not going to join those dead fuckers.
Do we have any, and from what Greg said, it sounds like, do we have the capability to like scan for life forms?
I'm going to say
We-
yes.
Cool.
I'm going to
So-
say yes.
Okay.
We've tried we tried doing that. You said we got a low energy reading from the
Right.
one powered chip.
Okay.
Won't pick up anybody in stasis though.
Okay.
That's true. That's true. A scan for life would not pick up anybody that's in the stasis pod.
So there is some sort of life, some little bit of energy on this ship that we're
If-
approaching.
Yeah,
Yes,
if they
they're-
have
Go on.
energy, right? If they have the fact that theirs is the only ship lit up here tells you how long some of the others have been here,
Right.
minimum.
Um,
So we'll board and figure it out.
okay, boarding the ship.
Yeah, if we don't have a boarding umbilical, well, then
I'm going to say I'm going to say that your ship has the capability of docking with other ships.
Okay.
Ships that have been built in the last 100 years have basically standardized couplings. So you've
Sam,
got
override the you'll have to override the airlock from the outside. Shouldn't be a problem.
All right. Do I roll for that or?
no, there's no need to roll for this. I'm going to say that this ship is so the Alexis is significantly bigger than your ship. I mean, your ship is small, it's sleek, but it's got pretty significant engines. You're much big. You're bigger than a shuttlecraft, but the Stingray is not a big ship at all. The Alexis is probably about twice the size.
Yeah, we're Mora here.
Yeah. The looks like the Alexis. Yeah, it's a standard scientific research vessel. Looks like it would probably have a crew of about 30. It's not. It's a ship that has no weapon systems. It does have armor. Does have shields. Shields are down. And yes, you detected that its generators are online, but they are operating in low power mode.
I'm gonna like type in Alexis into the computer and see if we get any sort of any information, historical information from the computer about like what it carried or who it worked for or what
Absolutely.
basic.
I think that is going to be a roll.
Okay. Let's see. Did I take tech? No, I did not take tech. So I guess I'm making a straight up roll of some sort. Would that be intelligence maybe?
I think that's going to be an intelligence check.
All right. I do have +2. Just roll 2d6, right?
Yeah, 2d6. Roll 2d6.
All right.
2.
All right. I got these white dice down in the corner. Ooh, snake eyes. Get that out there. So that's a 4.
Hey. Okay.
Oh, I get experience, right?
Mark an experience for rolling a miss.
There we go. How much experience do you need to get an upgrade?
Later.
think
It is it's on the character keeper. Most advances
10,
are 10.
yeah.
Most advances are 10 experience points. There's also the one that boosts it to a +3 is 20.
10 yeah, one's 20.
Yeah, that's the one to boost something from a +2 to a +3. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to say, I'm going to say that even on a miss, even on that miss, you still get a little bit of information about the Alexis. There's just not much. Your computer certainly doesn't have all of the data of every ship that's gone everywhere. You know that the Alexis is a research vessel that is operated out of It's operated from one of the old universities from Terra Prime. So this one came from like the human homeworld. And it's yeah, the last, and so you were able to find I'm gonna say you were able to find like an article that was in like some kind of news, you found an article in like like some kind of news article or news archive that was talking about it. That was talking about the Alexis and a Dr. Sorensen, who was a lead archaeologist, who had discovered and brought back artifacts from a previously unknown alien civilization. It's just that that planet that was described is like sectors away. So this article is from like 3 years ago. So I mean, you know that the Alexis is you know, so, and that's pretty much all you were able to find, is that, you know, this is a ship that is, you know, used for scientific exploration, and it's, you know, presumably still in use. I mean, this isn't a ship that's been like
Right.
in orbit for years and years and years.
Okay, Athena, you're first.
All right, let's go. Let's see what's going on.
Sparks, you're second.
Okay.
All right, folks, let's see what we got here. And she steps through.
Looking for
Okay.
survivors, especially.
Well, let's check to make sure there's some atmosphere in there before we go on in.
Well, we're
Do we-
suited. We're
Oh,
suited.
we're suited up. We got spacesuits
Oh
on.
yeah, no.
Oh yeah, everyone's got spacesuits.
Okay.
And I assume Athena has some sort of detector, like handheld life form detector.
Yeah, you can actually. Yeah, you can totally have. You can. Yeah, go ahead and spend one. Mark off one supplies, and yeah, you've got like a hand. You've got a Star Trek style tricorder.
Yeah.
You know, it can scan stuff. It can do like basic analysis of stuff.
And should we set all four of us going? Should we set the computer on like auto drive? You know, or keep it attached to the ship? Or
Oh, we're staying attached.
Okay, stay attached. Okay.
Absolutely. No, we're solidly on this. Neither one's going anywhere without the other.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, you attach. You attach to an airlock. I'm going to say that. Yeah, so the coupling works. You send the usual signal requesting that the ship open their airlock, and you get no response.
Right. Sam over
All right.
at airlock.
Yeah, I think it's time to cut through this thing.
You can let Sam override it.
Hey, Thorn.
This isn't a high security vessel. It should be. There'll be a maintenance panel on the outside to override the airlock.
I try to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you're facing immediate danger here, so I think you are going to act boldly. So.
And this would be using my text skill, right?
Yep. So you get to roll with advantage. So tell us what you wish to accomplish and what you are afraid might happen if things don't go according to plan.
I'd like to, open the airlock and get us in. I guess I'm afraid that there might be a booby trap or something.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and I think this is clearly intelligence, so go ahead and roll plus in.
With intelligence, I got 11.
Nice.
Dang. So Thorn, I got a bad feeling about this. What about you? You picking up any weird mojo from looking in the future and stuff like you do?
Yeah. I sure do. But we don't have a lot of choice here, so I'm not going to exert myself.
Okay.
Kyle, why don't you tell us? Kyle, why don't you tell us how Sam, like what Sam does to open the hatch and how it opens, and what it looks like.
Well, I imagine that the airlocks are fairly standardized. I mean, just because I think that'd be one of the most important things. So just, breaking out some tablet or the equivalent tricorder thingy, interfacing with the local interface, and then just the doors pop open. Not much pressure or debris or anything, and it just nice, easy access into the ship.
Awesome. Yeah. So you get the door open. Once it's open, you unplug the cables that you were running from your tablet into it. So looking inside, so the airlock opens. So looking inside, there's no like explosive decompression. So the Alexis does have atmospheric pressure. Looking inside, it's clearly operating in low power mode. It's got red emergency lights are on, and it's pretty dim in there. In fact, like one of the panels, like one of the red emergency lights that is near the airlock you just opened is flickering. You don't hear anything. I mean, I assume you've all got your spacesuits on.
Yes.
But you don't feel any vibrations. You're not really hearing much. What
Can
do
I
you do?
check the panel or whatever to see if there's atmosphere or there's a way to like get it working
There is atmosphere
inside the ship?
Yeah.
There is that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear.
Yeah.
What's the
When you open the
tricorder?
airlock, there was no decompression. I mean, there's like perhaps like a pressure shift, but yeah, there's that. Yeah, the Alexis has air.
There's Atmo, but keep your suit on.
What's my tricorder reporting?
What are you scanning for?
Life forms. Looking for the life form.
Life forms. Okay. You are not. I'm just going to tell you, there's no roll required. You are not detecting any life forms.
Whoa. My tricorder has no life forms. What did we detect from the ship?
Energy signature.
Yeah, you detected that
Power.
the energy. Yeah, you detected the ship had power.
Okay. Now what we're looking for. So we're looking for the bridge. We're looking for stasis pods. Open doors as you go until we find one of those two things.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to run this. I'm not going to run this OSR. There's actually, there is actually a map of this, but I'm not going to run this like an OSR game. So yeah, so you get in, and the ship looks so the ship looks like it's a bit disheveled. It's kind of hard to say if there was you do find that there were signs of violence. As you're walking through the corridors, you do see that there's blood. There's blood spatters on the walls. You find things just kind of drop. You find things dropped. You find a few. There's one point where you see some spent shell casings and weapon damage on some of the interior bulkheads, like someone opened fire on something. So you said you were looking for the bridge?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like some people got hurt here. I mean, maybe we should bug out and, maybe try a different avenue,
There are no people here.
Yeah, but somebody was shooting
either-
at somebody, and
Not surprised if they were trapped here.
yeah, maybe they're still out there.
Have you seen bodies? No.
I've lived a long time in space, and the best way of doing that is to stay away from blood splatters and shell casings. You know what I'm saying?
You're welcome to go back.
Yes, yeah, Sparks. I remember hearing about you, the fearless outlaw. Right.
welcome-
That's why we hired you on the ship, right?
No, I'm here. I'm here for entertainment,
Athena,
laughs, jokes.
Sparks, you can go back. But if you don't, shut up.
I mean, okay, all right. I'll stay with you guys, I guess.
Sparks, it's okay. You can come up with me.
Got it.
I'll protect you.
Found the bridge?
Well, on the way to the, you're pretty sure you're getting to the bridge. You do pass life support before you get to the bridge.
That's where stasis pods would be. So let's take a look.
Okay. Yeah, that does not appear to, so you go into the life support systems control room, and the life support systems are damaged. It looks like the ship does have atmosphere for now, but it looks like the carbon dioxide scrubbers aren't working appropriately. Its oxygen levels are okay for now, but the CO2 levels are going to start creeping up. It also looks like the other thing that you've now noticed, that because you are all in your spacesuits, you also notice that the temperature aboard the ship it's not freezing. It's not freezing, but it's it's probably only about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So
Right.
the life support systems are damaged, and it's getting less and less conducive to life as time goes on.
Okay.
This particular unit.
I like. Go on.
I was going to say this. So it looks like the ship has 5 separate life support units. This one is actually running normally, but it's like running it's running at like 175% of capacity, and it's probably going to burn out soon. It looks like this one is attempting to compensate for others which are completely offline.
Well, sounds like we might want to get to the bridge pretty quickly. See what we can learn about this.
Take your sweet time. What's your hurry?
There were no sleeping pods though here.
Stasis pods.
Stasis pods.
Haven't spotted any yet.
You haven't spotted any yet. If you're taking the most direct,
A quick run through the life support computer.
Yeah, there are. Yes, this ship does have 30 cryopods, because this ship has a crew of 30. In the life support area, I mean, you're able to pull up a computer. It does have, I'll say the info systems are partly online, but you're able to get a ship schematic up, so you have an idea as to where things are. And yes, there is a cryo chamber. It's in the opposite direction. If the bridge is that way and one level up, the cryo chamber is like back that way.
All right. Life support. So the life support's going to fail sometime soon, but it's not on the verge of imminent failure in the next few minutes.
And again, you have not detected any life signs.
No, but cryo might have some. All right, we need to check out the cryo chamber. Someone needs to go to the bridge to download download the log for the ship.
Sam, should we go head to the bridge?
I'd rather help with the cryo chambers personally.
Oh,
I'll go with you, Athena.
let's do it.
Okay,
I'll watch your 6.
Okay, so Athena and Sparks are heading up to the bridge, and Sam and Thorn are heading to check the cryo chambers, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's always good to split.
Don't split the party. Well, I mean, hey, we're not playing D&D. It's perfectly all right. Perfectly all right. Okay. Okay. So the entry hatch to you find the entry hatch to the cryo chamber, and it opens easily. Inside this room looks more or less undisturbed. There are 30 cryopods. None of them are activated. They're all empty.
Shit.
Can I check? Is there like a log or something like of the last time they were activated?
Sure. I'm going to say that I'm going to say sure. They were last opened. They were last opened 3 weeks ago.
3 fucking weeks ago.
Huh.
And
Man,
so the way this often works is larger ships when they're going on. I mean, even though when you're flying through hyperspace, it is faster than light drive. If you're going long distances, even through hyperspace, it can take months to get to a destination, and there's often not a lot to do on a ship for that long. So, so regularly, even when you're flying through hyperspace, oftentimes the crew will put themselves in stasis pods,
right.
and then the ship is set to wake them. If the ship detects that there's something happens that requires human intervention, or shortly before they get to their destination. It looks like the ship's been here about. It looks like, the ship has probably been here about 3 weeks.
Roger. Negative on the cryopods. Athena, Sparks.
Meanwhile, on the bridge.
So Athena, I got a bad feeling about this. I don't think this is going to end well. I'm glad with you. I'm glad I'm
Sparks,
with you.
I'll take care of you.
Exactly.
So you do get to the bridge, or I should say you get to the entryway to the bridge. It's got most of the rooms on this ship have like round entry hatches that you'll need to open up to get through, and they do seal and function as interior airlocks in case part of the ship loses pressurization, the whole ship doesn't. This airlock is closed. It's sealed, and it looks like something has tried to claw its way in.
You see that, Athena?
Yeah.
I told you this is bad news.
God, you've seen something like this before?
No, and I never want to see it again.
Oh, God.
Look.
Do I hold the tricorder up. Do we see anything on the other side of the bridge? Through the door?
On the other side of the bridge, tricorder.
Or the other side of the door, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say that the command room is shielded, and your low power tricorder isn't really powerful enough to get to tell you what's on the other side of this door.
Look, something was trying to get in there. It doesn't look like it got in, though.
No,
so
it doesn't.
Maybe it's actually safe in there. Maybe somebody holed themselves up in there. Is there a way to like push an intercom or something to like, buzz the other side?
Yeah. The ship's interior comm system does seem to be working.
So I'll push the button. I'll be like, hello. This is Sparks and Athena. We're here to help you. We don't have claws. We're friendly. Over.
there is a pause, and then the comm clicks on, and a voice says, "Who are you, and how are you on this ship?"
Yeah, we're from the Stingray. There's me and my crew. We're here to try to help you guys. Our hyperdrive crashed. I suspect maybe same thing happened to you, right? Who am I talking to?
No. Response. My designation is Cranot.
Android.
My designation is Cranot. Utility service Android Series 6.
So it's an Android. It's kind of a twitchy model, so we'll have to play this cool. Cranot, we're friendly, like I said. Could you open the door? Let us in. There's nothing scary out here.
So above the door, there's like a small video camera like on a swivel, and it just kind of like swivels down and like looks right at you with a with that like red LED dot in the middle. And the voice says, "All right, I'm unlocking the hatch." Click, 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 click. There's like a gas pressure release, and the door unlocks.
Cranot, seems like something was trying to get in here. Is there something on the ship that we should know about?
Okay, so you walk into the bridge. So Cranot is a low-level utility service android. They're mainly used to like go into places that are too dangerous to send people. They have human level intelligence, but they're not super smart. And it looks to you, and it says, I am glad to see other people. It has been, and it pauses, and it like, it looks like it glitches slightly, and says, I am not sure exactly how long we've been here. Files have been tampered with. The other thing that you see in this room is the other thing that you see is that there's clearly been a fight in this room. There is another android that is kind of slumped in the corner, and you see that it's it seems to be functional because it's able to it does look in your direction, but it doesn't say anything. It's typing on a keypad. It's slumped over because it looks like its lower half has been severed. There are also two corpses that have like human corpses that have been pulled off to the side. It looks like there has been a fight in here. Again, there's like shell casings. When you look around, several of the systems have like several of the panels are shattered because they've been hit by gunfire. And there have been and it looks like there have been like claw slashes through other things.
Yeah, Athena will go look at the two corpses.
And I'm gonna close that door and lock it. So, hey, Cranot, how did it looks like there was a fight in there, but I thought you were locked in. I was hoping maybe this place was safe. You don't know how this all happened, this whole fight thing, right? These people
Clear-
died.
The other entity, Cranot says, clearly there was a fight here. The other android says, and the other android then turns to you and says, yes, clearly someone did this to me, and and killed Lieutenants Chang and Ramirez.
But you don't have any memory of this, is what you're trying to tell me, right?
The computer memory banks and our memory banks have been tampered with. I'm not exactly sure what has happened or when it happened. Cranot says, I've been attempting to access corrupted files in my memory banks and also in the ship system to attempt to piece together what happened. I have been unsuccessful.
We probably need Sam up here. Hey, Sam, when you're done with the cryo tubes, you might need to reconstitute some of the memory, the data banks up here.
This is Thorn. Cryotubes are negative. Why?
Yeah.
What? Why? What did you find?
Well, looks like there was a fight up here. There's been perhaps some sabotage. Looks like the memory of there's a functional droid up here, android that has no memory currently of what actually occurred.
And there's big claw marks in the furniture and in the people. So keep your eyes open.
On the bridge?
Yeah.
And you didn't tell us until now?
Well, I just told you.
Did you discover it just now, like 2 seconds ago?
Yeah.
1 second. 1 second ago.
1 second ago. Yep.
Fuck that. I don't believe that for a fucking minute.
Now, I saw some horror vids once, so I'm going to look around and see if there's any like vents or gratings in the floor. Any other way that maybe something nasty got into this place. And hurry up, Captain.
Hurry up.
Yeah, Athena goes, ooh. Did you hear that?
Jones? I'm going to
Yes,
stick a
Captain?
vibroblade in your bank. You tell me you've got dead people, you've got erased files, and you've got fucking claw marks, and you're making a fucking joke?
No, sir, Captain.
We're getting some static up here. You're breaking up.
Sparks,
Can't read.
Tell you're doing
I'm going to turn off for now. See you soon. Over.
Do we, what, Athena's gonna look at the corpses?
Sam, we're going to have to get up to the bridge right away.
Got it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm heading to
So I'm actually going to use Open Door here. I'd like to call it a 2-minute break right now. It's been about an hour since the last break. I'd like to call a break here, and then we'll reconvene with everyone in the command room.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay. Yeah, just need 2 minutes. Sound good, or do people want longer? 2 minutes it is. See you in 2 minutes. So just checking on time. Looks like we've got about. Looks like we're scheduled for another 35 minutes. So we'll reveal. I think we'll probably reveal. I think my plans is we'll. I think we'll play out this scene on the bridge. Maybe do one more scene somewhere else. I will probably end on a cliffhanger, and then I'd like to do a little debrief at the end, just check in to see how people thought things were going, and then we'll call it. I'll do my best to wrap up right around 11 Eastern time. And Brandon's mic is on, so I think we're all back. So the four of you are on the bridge. There are two androids, Krynot, who is intact and has been, looks like he's been attempting to restore computer data files, which have been hopelessly corrupted. As the scene opens, I'm going to say that the four of you are like working. The scene opens where the four of you are basically trying to help him piece together what has happened, and I'm not gonna call for a roll here. I'm just going to say that so you try for several minutes now that Sam's here and is able to bring her tech skills into play. You have come to the conclusion that something has corrupted the computer's data banks. Most of the computer's general data files have been not erased so much as overwritten with garbage data, and some of these files have been overwritten several times.
So that's deliberate.
Yeah, it seems to be. Well, it seems to be more. It seems to have been deliberate.
Right.
Also, it looks like both of these androids' memories have also been deliberately altered. You're able to plug your scanner into the android's data jacks, and you see that files have been overwritten with garbage data on the androids, in the androids onboard memory bank systems, which is really weird because that's not you're not supposed to be able to do that.
So Sam, that's
Makes no
super
sense.
high tech stuff to do that then, huh?
Is it? I
It's
mean,
not-
what would you need to do this?
Pop open the Android, typically, right? Which is
Generally, I'm going to say yeah. I don't think we need a roll to answer that question. I'm going to say yeah. To do this through normal means, yeah, you would need to deactivate the Android, open up a data panel, pull out, actually physically pull out some of the actual memory cores that aren't normally supposed to be removed, plug them into another computer, and then do whatever you're doing to the data files, then plug them back, turn it back on. But then who knows what the Android's going to do? That's the only way that you would know how to do this. The only other thing that comes to mind is, other things that could conceivably do this sort of thing would be being blasted by high energy radiation, or or something else even weirder. What that weird thing is, you're not really sure. But, you can conceive of
yeah,
it's kind of a mystery.
I get it. Okay, Sam. Yeah, the computers know better.
So after some
radiation would have crippled these things, not just selectively wiped out everything except recent memory.
Well, the other thing is if they were blasted with high energy radiation that would have damaged its memory, would have also these androids would also now be highly radioactive, and they're not.
So I'm gonna walk over to the corpses.
Yes.
What I guess what do I see? I'm just curious if it's obvious how they died.
It looks like one of them has their the woman has her throat cut, and it looks like the man has received multiple multiple gunshot wounds to the chest.
Huh. I'm gonna
and the throat
claws.
cut.
Oh yeah,
And
go on.
and that throat cut. It's whatever cut it was really jagged.
Okay.
This is not a clean cut at all.
Do we see anything with the claw marks that were on the door? Is there anything particular that stands out about them?
It looks like these whatever it was able to like scratch into like whatever these claw marks were. It was something that was sharp enough and tough enough to actually scratch into steel. So this is probably not a tiger.
Yeah. Well, this is above my pay grade, folks.
Although the claw marks were probably, could it have been a big cat? Maybe. You don't know. I mean, you're a spacer. What do you know from zoo animals?
And I was kind of like looking around for alternate ways of accessing the bridge, if there were any vents or gratings or other doors, some sign of how something might have got in here.
I mean, yeah, there are air vents. I mean, the ship has an HVAC system. It looks like the air vents that come into the command room are pretty small. They're probably only about they're probably only about 4 inches tall and 10 inches wide. So certainly nothing big enough for a person to climb through. Ships of this size probably have bigger air ducts that feed a whole region, and then there's smaller pipes that branch off. But there is not one large enough to go through that goes right onto the bridge. Anyone wish to? One thing that you are able to do while you're on the bridge is get a more detailed schematic of the ship. I'll just kind of like rattle off some of the other areas you can choose to explore. There's a med bay, there's a cargo hold, various crew quarters, and a science lab.
Yeah.
The cargo hold, by the way, you're able to pull up like a partial manifest of what would have been in the cargo hold, and it looks like archaeological excavation equipment. There's like it's only a partial list because part of the data files have been wiped, but it looks like there's a couple of a couple of those like robotic lifters.
Right.
Translation, like the thing Ripley used to kill the alien queen at the end of Alien. There's a couple of those. There's a 4-wheeled all-terrain vehicle, one that's designed for transport, and one that's basically a small dump truck.
Well, I mean, just what do I know? I'm just a glorified you know,
when you start a sentence, we've talked about this before, Athena. When you start a sentence with "What do I know?" no one wants to listen to the rest of the sentence.
You're right. Okay. What I'm saying is this archaeologist he was studying other life forms, right? Alien species.
Long dead aliens, yeah.
Okay, maybe he found something that he brought back, and maybe the crew quarters might have something that one of the crew guys or women wrote down. Obviously, somebody wanted to wipe what happened here from the official record.
I mean, we're here to try to get our hyperdrive back in order, right? I mean, let's not monkey around. You know, let's go to the engineering and let's get what we need to get our hyperdrive and get the hell out of here.
Hey, Sparks. I know you never pay attention. Okay. But it's not about the drive. The drive's fine. Our drive is in perfect shape. Okay. There's something on the planet that's screwing with hyperdrive transmission. That's preventing the drive from kicking up into hyperspace.
Well, let's go there then. I mean, why are we even on this ship then?
Because because first off, we wanted they might have found something out.
Well, they're all dead.
How do you know?
Whatever they figured out didn't help them much.
Sorry. How do you know? I count 2.
There's 2 dead guys right there, and we haven't seen anybody alive.
2. Where are 3 to 20? Where are 3 to 30? Do you know?
They're in the stomachs of some sort of freaking space beast.
And you know this, given your huge experience with xenoforms, huh?
Look, I mean, there was a battle here.
Yeah.
Huge claw marks.
Yeah. There was a battle
Robots
here.
are all freaked up. This robot's ripped in half.
There was
what do
a
you
battle
think
here.
did that?
One of these corpses died from gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
What makes you think they?
I don't want to die that way either.
Hey,
Sparks, shut up.
I'll protect you, Sparks.
Sparks, if you're afraid, go in the ship and hide. Okay? You fucking hide and we'll come back and get you. Otherwise.
Look, I thought we were a team.
We
We'll work together.
We are.
Let's all stay alive together.
Yeah. But let's not decide what what the answer is to something when you have fucking no idea.
So it's at about this time that something weird starts to happen on the ship. The emergence, all of a sudden, everyone hears this kind of weird, low, rhythmic thrum. It starts out soft, but it begins to at first you think it's maybe it's the maybe it's the air ventilation system kicking on or something like that, but and at the same time the lights start to flicker.
Shit. Losing power.
There
also at this time, while you're looking at your data pads, they all just the screen just flickers out and they all just go offline. As you were talking with the 2 androids, they just suddenly twitch and then drop into. I mean, they don't. The one that's standing doesn't drop to the floor, but it kind of slumps. It kind of slumps forward, inert. What do you do?
I don't want to say I told you so, but
you didn't. You didn't actually.
Okay. Sam, wasn't there a power thingy gonna overload or something or other?
No, this is happening way ahead of time. And this is also I hold up my data pad. This is not a power. These data pads are self-powered. This is something with a giant fuck of an electromagnetic field that is smothering power generation in this ship right now. Okay, our data pads are not dependent on ship power. Okay, thank goodness our suits are still working. And whatever it is hasn't just shut down all the electronics in them too. And they're shielded against cosmic radiation. I guess that's what's doing it.
Well,
We need to find out if this thing has any more information on it, because now we know we're up against some seriously weird shit. And the more information we have, the better we'll be prepared to deal with it. So we need to see if we can find out what happened to the rest of the crew. We need to see if there's any private records that might be woken up again once we get out of this. And
well,
we need to get a look at the science lab.
let's do it. Sounds good to me.
All right.
So what's the plan, folks? So
Athena, you'll go. Athena, you go point. Sparks, you drag.
Okay.
Sparks, we'll cover the crew quarters.
Okay.
It'll be okay. Look, what could go wrong, Sparks?
Stop that, Athena. Don't say that. We know what the fuck could go wrong, but it's not going to happen. All right. Keep your heads.
So as you're forming up information to like walk out of the bridge, you hear the sound of like clanking of like. You hear the sound of a rusty hinge followed by the sound of metal clanking against metal. All of you look up toward that like small ventilation shaft that I mentioned, and the grate over the front has dropped down and has crashed on the floor. And at this point, a strange alien life form is crawling on about 20 legs out of this out of it. It's about the size of it's probably about the size of a cat or a small dog, but it's got far too many legs. Its head, it appears to be chitinous, but its head has it's almost entirely black, except for its two large kind of like white kind of hemispherical eyes on the front of it, and also on the front of it are several are like 10 tentacles that are twitching and feeling about. And as it comes out, and it scurries out and it crawls across the ceiling, and suddenly it stops, and apparently it detects your presence because it swivels its head and twitches its tentacles toward you. What do you do?
Well, I'm already underneath a desk, so fuck that.
You jump under a desk. Okay, awesome.
Hey, can Athena have a gun? Is that reasonable for Athena
Yes.
to have a gun?
I'd
Yeah.
want her to have a gun.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you can have.
cool.
Yeah, you have a. Yeah, you can have a light weapon that can clearly be a gun. It could be something else. If you want to spend two of your credits, you can have. If you want to spend 2 of your credits, that can also have a. You can have a secondary. You can have a second light weapon.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Just say that you had
Okay.
it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can.
Athena,
So yeah, you can have a. So what? So yeah, you can. So that'd be a light weapon. So that'd be like So that'd be like a blaster pistol or a. I mean, tell us what kind of gun it is. What does it do?
Yeah. We'll say Athena has we'll say Athena has like the gun's attached to her arm.
Okay.
Right. It's maybe some sort of like gauntlet kind of thing. Shoes.
Awesome.
Shoots.
So is it an energy weapon? Is it a projectile weapon?
Yeah. Energy.
Okay. Awesome.
And so yeah, Athena will immediately jump into battle mode and try to nail it with one of her energy.
You're gonna blast
bullets.
it. Okay. Well, you are clearly okay then. So when you are in the presence of danger or peril, I think this counts. Tell us what you wish to accomplish and what you fear may happen if you are not successful.
So Athena is looking to take out this thing because it might have done all this damage. What is she scared of? She's scared of somebody getting hurt, and also scared of this thing getting away. Secondarily. So
I'm going to, okay, so I need to tell you how things are worse than you fear. So I'm going to say, so your intention is you want to blast this thing? That's your intention? I'm going to say that what's going to happen if your roll doesn't go well is that this thing is going to leap right at you. Specifically, it's going to leap right at your face.
all right.
So you can choose to back down or go through with it.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. I think since you're shooting, I believe you're going to roll plus agility.
Okay. That's 0.
Okay.
So that's 2d6.
Yeah, it's going to be 2d. It's going to be 2d6.
Okay. Let's.
Oh, and here's another thing. You can't. If one other mechanic is if you want to push yourself, you can mark stress to roll with advantage.
I guess is that a before roll
That
thing?
is before you roll. You can choose to mark stress to roll with advantage, and tell us what you're doing that is increasing your stress but is giving you a boost.
Yeah, it should just roll normal for now.
Roll normal. Okay, awesome.
Okay, let's see. I'll just roll. Okay, I have a 3 plus 4. That's a 7. And I think
Agility
no is 0,
your
so that's just a
agility
7.
is a 0. Okay, so it's a 7. Okay. So, looking at the move. So you accomplished what you intended, but there is a complication. Okay, awesome. Yeah, you blast the thing. Roll a d6 damage.
All right.
Unless you've got a move or special ability that lets you boost damage to ranged weapons. I think you got the one that boosts damage with melee weapons.
Yeah, melee. 3 points.
3 points. Okay, awesome. Yeah, you blast it. It's your shot hits it, and it kind of it kind of explodes. It kind of explodes in a shower of like green goo. And here's the complication. Sparks, you dove under a desk.
Or Sparks.
Yeah, and then you look up, and like 6 inches from your face is another one.
Oh man.
And I think we're going to end it here.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
You got Sparks, you bastards.
Sparks never dies.
Uh-huh.
So that was episode 1 of Dead Planet. So I figured in next session we will conclude the exploration of the Alexis. That should probably take less than an hour to learn what you're going to learn here, and then we will move on to so the structure of the game. It's basically got 4 parts. The Alexis is part 1. I didn't think we were going to get through all of it with rules explanation and character gen, but we'll finish that up next week. Next week we'll move on to part 2, and we'll take it from there. So I had fun. I'd like to do a little stars and wishes here. Stars are things that you liked, and wishes are things that you hope to see next time. So for stars, I'm really enjoying the characters. I think we've got a really interesting crew here. I like our interplay. Thorn, I like you. I like the fact that you take no shit and suffer no fools. That's really cool. Excuse me. And Athena, I like the fact that I kind of like the fact that you're playing the character to be kind of you're clearly the muscle and are deferring to other people. Sparks, I really like where you're going with here, and that is and I definitely like Samantha, your tech. So yeah, I think the characters are definitely a lot of fun. Wishes, next time I will have a better handle on the rules. I'll have the rules in like more consolidated in one place, and hopefully I won't be pausing so quickly to look things up. Anyone else would like to add?
I'll say stars stars characters are growing very quickly and very nicely. I like we're getting some tension between the characters, which I think is important for like a sci-fi horror kind of story.
Yeah.
And wishes, I think the only thing I just put a request that, as our stress starts to build up, if you can remind us all how we relieve stress and how, that all plays out. Yep. I think from my quick read of the rules, that seems a little bit complicated. If there's anything complicated, that's maybe something that would be worth reminding us all about, as we get into this. But yeah,
Absolutely.
that's so far real good.
I will say that so this is very much a play test. This is like the first time I've subjected anyone to this collection of rules, so I am absolutely looking for feedback. Anyway, but yes, absolutely, I'll go over how that works.
Cool.
Because now that we're actually facing some stressful situations.
Yeah, I'd say stars. Yes, second it. Really like how the characters have come together, and actually, I usually don't do sci-fi, so this is awesome. I just love all the hard sci-fi kind of elements that are getting thrown in. So no wishes for me currently. So.
Yeah, no, I like the characters too. The only wish I have is just a question, or maybe a mild concern. And if you're happy with it, I'll drop it. Which is typically in a Powered by the Apocalypse game, you don't have big other variables besides the rolls. But in this one, for example, we have a damage roll, which is a D6. So in other words, so that you could succeed really well in your combat thing and then roll a 1. Which seems to me would be better a thing consolidated into the original roll. In the kind of the way Apocalypse rules usually work, rather than having a separate random element to it to see, okay, now that you succeeded, let's see if you really succeed.
I can see that. I've never run Offworlders before, so it uses the basically it's a sci-fi version of World of Dungeons, which itself was a simplification of Dungeon World, which uses hit points, which does hit points and armor class. So yes, I see where you're going, and a lot of games don't actually use hit points. So that was kind of an experiment. I'm curious to see how this works. I'm not 100% sure that it does, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Cool. If anyone have anything else to add? Awesome. Well, I had a blast tonight, folks. This is fun. I'm looking forward to part 2, and I guess I will see you all next week.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Before we go, one other question. Is it okay for me to post the video of this of this session publicly?
Yep.
So give me a thumbs up. Looks like good all around. Okay, cool. yeah, there'll be a link to it on the Gauntlet Slack. And yeah, hopefully I'll get that up sometime in the next day or so. Thank you, folks. I really had a blast, and I'm looking forward to the next session.
Okay.
See you next
Night,
week,
everyone.
guys.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.